Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll explain about the table of contents. What all the content I usually share in I usually deliver in associate the course. I start with the pre-cloud era. How things happened when there was no cloud. Or they were cloud, but people were not using it. They were unaware about it. The typical data center physical servers, how they would, what challenges did they face. And then we talk about the concepts of the cloud, what the cloud is, what is cloud computing, what benefits do you get out of the cloud. And then we will talk about, since you guys will be attending AWS solution architect, so AWS, so we'll talk about the foundation of AWS and the little history, how the AWS got evolved, what all certifications are there, and what is there in the solution architect associate, right? And then we will talk about some foundation basics of AWS, like AWS global infrastructure, how the AWS made that large number and a large number of data centers around the world. Then we'll talk about the shared responsibility, and then there is an architecture, target architecture, sample target architecture, which I have designed and which I usually run around the services with the candidates. Okay, so I'll showcase what the architecture looks like, so that you guys can create those architecture, implement those architecture by yourself. Then I divided the whole course in 12 to 13 chapters. Chapter 1 starts with the fundamental of the cloud. Right? So what are different computing models available in the cloud world? What are the deployment models are there? What are the main terminologies, basic important terminologies in the cloud which should be there in your architecture? Chapter 2, I ask associate candidates to create their AWS account. So I guide them and create their AWS account they created by themselves. Okay, then we create billing alerts on it so that you don't get charged unnecessarily. Okay, then we create an IAM user for your day-to-day activities, right? So there is a admin user which we create. Then we talk about the SSH. SSH is important because we will spin up some Linux servers wherein you need to log into those Linux servers, and SSH is the way to you can do it. Then we installed AWS CLI command line interface through which you can access AWS services. Chapter 3 talks about IAM and S3. So IAM is your identity and access management, how you can create users and credentials for others to use the AWS services. Then we talk about S3. S3 is an object-based storage in AWS, right? So you can store files, media files, any type of files you can store. Then in chapter 4, we talk about the virtual private cloud. So VPC is a logical separation area of the bigger world of AWS. So you can launch a VPC and you can launch your AWS services inside that VPC, so that it is not accessible to anyone outside that VPC unless you give them permission. Okay, then there are a few components in VPC which we will cover, like NAT, flow logs, and bastions, right? And then chapter 5 talks about the EC2. The EC2 is your Elastic Compute Cloud. It's basically the servers actually. So Windows, Linux, Red Hat, so there are different servers available. So we will talk about it. We'll see, what all things like disks and snapshots are there in Elastic Compute Cloud, how you can use it. Uh, and so most of these chapters are actual hands-on. So there is a theoretical part also. So what I usually do is I explain the concept, I explain all the fundamentals, and then we together do the hands-on with a free tier account which you had created in chapter 1. Okay, so you will, in your own account, you will create the servers, databases, and everything by yourself, and I'll be helping you out in doing that. Okay, so the best thing is to learn is by getting your hands dirty, right? So you would be doing it, so you will better understand. Then chapter 6 will talk about the databases. So what all relational and non-relational databases are there. There are few services which AWS has included in their revised exam format of 2020. So they have revised the format. So if you see this, wherever I've written 2020, so these are the services which got included from last year. Okay, so it's in there in 2020. They wasn't there in last year. So we will go through all these, right? Then Route 53 is a DNS service. So DNS service is DNS registrar and traffic management you can do with Route 53. We will showcase the demo also. Then chapter 8 talks about how you can build a highly available architecture in AWS. Okay, so there are services available through which you can achieve it. Okay, so as of now you would find these terms quite heavy, but don't worry, when we will get into the details you will understand each and everything listed here, so don't worry about it. Then chapter 9 talks about there are various applications. So as of now in AWS there are 220 applications, more than 220 services basically. So we do not go in each and every services. They are not required for solution architect associate exam. But we will talk about most the services which are used widely across enterprises, across organizations, and which are asked in the exam. Okay, and these the services which you see the highlighted 2020 were written. So these are included by AWS in their 2020 exam format. So I've included that as well. Okay, and chapter 10 talks about the serverless. So serverless again, it's nowadays when you're running your workloads on a cloud. So most of the organizations, they want some of them want to convert their monolithic architecture to microservices or serverless. So we will talk about what serverless is and how you can achieve the serverless architecture in AWS using which AWS services. Then chapter 11 will talk about the microservices. So microservices again is the way of architecting the solution. So we will talk about what the microservices are and how you can achieve that in AWS. Okay, chapter 12 talks about DevOps. And we will see how you can create a cloud native CI/CD pipeline using 3 or 4 AWS services. Chapter 13, in the last probably last day or last 2 days, I along with my candidates, we do a practice test of 25 to 30 questions, kind of sample exam questions in the same format as it asks in the exam, and we solve it together so that you can understand how you can tackle those questions, how you can reach out to which is the correct answer, right? And then I give some exam tips and tricks through which utilizing which you can appear in the exam, and you'll pass the exam. Okay, so there are a few important things. First is the theoretical part is very less. So I know in today's world where internet is available to everyone, you can read, you can get the theory part, or if you search for AWS, you will get hundreds of material, right? So I am here to do the hands-on with you guys. So I make sure that you do a lot of hands-on so that you understand it better. And if you have any queries, then I'll solve it in these sessions. Okay, any questions does anyone have on the topic which maybe I have missed, or you want to know anything?
Is there any prerequisite to learn this code?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
I am asking, is there any prerequisite knowledge for learning this code?
No. So there is no prerequisite as such. It's just that you need to know a little bit about computers, basic how the internet works, what is client server, and just very basic knowledge about it. And even if you have any questions, and any doubt, how the things work, then we can cover in a session. Maybe we can extend 10 to 15 minutes, and I can explain what is your doubt around your general queries. Like you may not know what is how the serverless, how the client server works, how the internet works, what is the router. So those small things, simple queries, we can extend session anytime, 10 to 15 minutes, and I can resolve it. So that is a good part of having a instructor-led trainings, because you can find a lot of materials in the internet, but when you come to an instructor-led training, so that is a good part, that whatever queries you have, you can solve it immediately. So, and another good thing is in these online session is like you can share your screen wherever you are having an error or doubt, and then we can resolve it in the session. Okay, so if there is no questions, then I'll move on to the demo. So we will see how the things were there in the pre-cloud era. So when I say pre-cloud era, people, big enterprises or companies, software companies or financial services companies, they have their own data centers, right? So if अगर आपको आपको कोई website चलानी है, if you want to build your website, run your website, you are creating a business like Flipkart or Amazon, you need to have some servers at your end, right? So where you are working from. So you need to think about some capacity. I need a 5 GB of RAM and I need this much of hard disk, this much of graphics card into it, this much network capacity, bandwidth I need to have to run my website. Okay, so then you purchase those servers. So you need to think about the capacity of the server, we say. And then you need to think about the storage. When I say storage, you need to have a dedicated space for keeping those servers. And as you know that for keeping your servers, you need to have some basic equipments like networking equipments, cooling equipments, backup generators, security. Those aspects come into the picture. Okay, so those things you need to think about when you are running your own data center. You need to have a manpower also for operations, to networking and everything, right? So let's take an example of let's say you have a software company, you are running your services for product, and you have a website, and you estimated that in 2016, let's say you launched your website in 2016, and at that time you anticipated around 1,000 users to hit your website. Okay, so everything was going good. You launched your website, thousands were users were accessing your website. Let me just yep. Then what happens in 2017? Your user base grew from 1,000 to 5,000. It's been time, it's been a year. Your website got famous. But so what you need to do, you estimated, you forecasted that, okay, so my website is gaining popularity, the users are increasing, so I need my 3 servers cannot take that much of load, right? So because I provisioned for 1,000 users, I estimated for 1,000 or to 1,200 users. So what you need to do, again, you need to think about, okay, I need to purchase servers of this much capacity. Then I also need to think about the space, whether do I have a space of putting extra 3 or 4 or 5 servers, right? So you planned for it, and you made the purchase. You sent out the purchase order to a software company, to the server company, so like Rackspace, and then you wait for the servers, right? So servers are not the thing that you can go and purchase. So you have to wait, right? Maybe three months, 6 months, 8 months, right? So whenever it comes to you, you need to set up, you need to make it operational. You need to make some networking settings into it, all the wires and all connectivity, to make that servers in a working state. Then again, similar situation happens. You forecasted for okay, so no, there will be around 20,000 users will be hitting my website, so I need more capacity of servers. then you again provisioned 5 or 10 or 50 servers into your data center. Okay, but what happens if you estimated or forecasted for 20,000 but your actual traffic is around 7,000 only? Okay, so I planned for 20,000, but actually throughout the year my website was accessed by only 7,000 users. Then in that case there is a problem, right? So you extra servers are sitting idle, they are serving no traffic. You have to maintain it. You have already incurred your cost, you already invested into it, and you still have to maintain them, right? You cannot just put them into a corner, right? So these are the typical challenges which company are facing or have had been facing when there was no concept of cloud. They have to maintain their own servers, data centers. So these are the typical challenges which company faces. Okay, so now so any questions until now from anyone? Understood? All clear? Okay, silence means no. So tell me if anyone knows what is cloud. So you guys are coming for an AWS certification. So let me know what is cloud. Anyone can tell me what is cloud? Hello?
Cloud offering a vast variety of services like PaaS and infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So we can get each and every type of service, and we are charged as per our users. So this is what cloud is. It is as my knowledge.
Yep. So you are close. So cloud is basically if you are maintaining a server. Okay, so you have one or two hundreds and thousands of servers, and if you want to uh, give access to those servers over the internet, or a portion of those servers or spaces or services to others, to public, over the internet, then that is basically a cloud, right? So it is a service which you are getting over the internet from a cloud provider or from a vendor, right? So we call it a data center. So if you see this image, so maybe for example, let's say AWS, since we are doing AWS class. So AWS, what they have done, they have purchased and they have built hundreds and thousands of servers. Okay, and with various networking equipments, a lot of infrastructure is there. And what they do, if you want a space in this server, so you can actually get it over the internet from AWS at a price. Okay, so which we say that on demand. So within any time, 24/7, 365 days, if you want a server to be to run your website or anything, then you can get it via AWS over the internet. So that is a cloud. Okay, so the cloud is a term referring to accessing computers, information technology, or software applications through a network connection, often by accessing data centers using WAN or an internet connectivity. Okay, so other than AWS, you have Azure from Microsoft, you have GCP from Google Cloud Platform, you have Alibaba, and there are IBM Cloud as well. Okay, so that is what they are all doing, the same thing. They are just extending their services of infrastructure to the consumers over the internet. So you don't have to go to IBM IBM shop or IBM data center to work on those servers, right? So you can get it over the internet. So that is basically a concept of cloud. Okay, so let's say a personal use of cloud is like you have your those who are Android users, they must have used Dropbox or maybe a Google Drive from GCP, or those who have iPhones, they would have used iCloud. Okay, so what you can do, so those are basically cloud, right? So they have those providers made their space available for a general public. So with you can register with them, you can get some amount of free GBs to that space, So you upload, so maybe for example, you can upload your resume from your home, sitting, via your laptop. And then when you are at your office, maybe at your college, or maybe you are going for an interview, you need to access that resume, right? So what you can do, you can through a mobile device or any computer, you can use your credentials and you can download the resume from the maybe Google Drive or anything, right? Dropbox. So that is a use of the cloud, right? So there is a term called high availability. So high availability is a term like whenever you want to access that content, that file, and it is available, made available to you by the cloud service providers, right? So like AWS or Azure, right? So that is the high availability nature of the cloud, right? Whenever you want to access the content, it is available to you. So it's not only a resume, it's all about AWS. It's about the services. It's about maybe you have uploaded some videos, maybe you uploaded some Word files, your data, anything, right? When I say content, so content is anything. So whenever you want to access your content and it is made available to you, delivered to you, it is highly available nature of the cloud. Okay, then there is a term called fault tolerant. So fault tolerant nature of the cloud is, let's suppose you have uploaded some of the content, maybe your resume. So what cloud, and what if it got corrupted, right? Or maybe on the server which you are, you don't know which you are uploading, that server went down, right? So what cloud provider do, they create multiple copies of your content, so multiple copies of your resume or data, and they create, at least two servers in two different data centers. Okay, so if one center goes down, or if one server goes down, or if one copy gets corrupted, then there is a backup, copy or data center is there to serve you, to deliver that content to you, even though they have a fault at their end. So that is a fault tolerant nature of the cloud. So you have to build your architecture in such a way that it is always highly available and it is always a fault tolerant, right? So did you understand the difference between a highly available and fault tolerant? Okay, so fault tolerant is when whenever you want to access the content, it is available to you 24/7, 365 days. And fault tolerant nature is whenever there is a fault in the cloud, but still you are able to get your content, access your content. That is a fault tolerant nature of the cloud. Okay. Now, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing, anything which you want, like maybe you want an storage service, maybe you want compute service, maybe you want some database, monitoring service, anything which you want as a service over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing is a cloud computing, basically, which you are not doing on your on your laptop or workstation or on your own server. Instead, you are doing it by paying the price over the internet with some IT resources, is basically a cloud computing. Okay, so maybe I'm building a website. So what I can do, I can go to AWS, I can use some services. So I don't need to install, purchase a server. I don't need to purchase a software. I can just have a ready-made thing available on AWS, and I can run my website. I can upload my code, and my website is okay. My website is, is live, right? So I can purchase a domain as well, like xyz.com, anything which I want. So that can be done through AWS. Or you are building if you want an Oracle database, you don't have to go to Oracle website, download the software and install it on your laptop. You don't need to do it. You just go into an RDS service of AWS. You can select the Oracle engine and you launch it, whichever version of Oracle you want, right? So maybe 10, 11, 12c, anything we want, it is available to you as a service, right? So that is a cloud computing. Okay, so cloud computing is an on-demand delivery. So when I say on-demand, is whenever you want, right? So whenever you want, it is available to you. So that is an on-demand. Whenever you want, you can have that. As the computer power, database, storage, applications, or other IT resources via the internet with pay as you go pricing. Pay as you go means whatever you use, you only have to pay for it, right? Which service you are not using, or even if you purchase a server, if you are not using it, you don't have to pay for it. Okay. Cloud computing gives you access to the servers, storage, databases, and a broad set of application services over the internet. Okay, so that is a cloud computing. So now let's take example of the similar example which I explained you for on-premise. So what if I decommissioned my data center, I closed my data center, I migrated all my workloads onto cloud. Okay, so let's say I'm running everything on AWS, right? So same website, my flipkart.com. So for example, in same to 2016, I launched a website and there were only 1,000 users. And when my website become famous, then the user base grew from 1,000 to 4,000. So I don't need to go to, I don't need to think about the capacity, right? I don't need to go to a company to purchase a server. I don't need to wait for to come arrive. I don't need to wait for configure it, right? So it is already automatically available to me, right? And what if my user base, unlike I expected, my user base went down from 4,000 to 3,000. So maybe I don't need 4 servers. I only need 3 servers. So one server will automatically get removed from my portfolio, right? So that I unnecessary, I don't have to pay for it. So that is one of the benefits you can get when you are running your workload from the cloud. And to do all those things, you don't have to constantly monitor. You don't have to monitor it. Okay, so there are services in AWS like auto scaling group. If you set it, so as soon as system detects that there are heavy traffic, then it automatically adds up the server. And as soon as it detects that it senses that there is a less traffic, there is no capacity needed, then it removes the server from the farm. Okay, so that is the benefit you get from the cloud, running your workloads from the cloud. Now here there are two terms came into picture, is scalability. So scalability is like when you can scale. So there are two types of scaling. One is vertical scaling and second is horizontal scaling. So vertical scaling is like when you add the capacity. So when I say capacity, think about the RAMs, the CPUs, and hard disks and all. So when you add the capacity to your servers, existing servers, like maybe I have provisioned 2 servers of 5 GB RAM and 4 CPU, but I saw that performance is not that good with those servers. So what I can do, I can go and increase the capacity, maybe from 5 GB of RAM to 50 GB of RAM for 4 CPU to sorry, from 4 CPU to 6 CPU, right? And when I do that to the same server, my performance increases, right? It performs, the website is now performing better. So that is a vertical scaling, right? So when you are adding a capacity to your existing servers, that is a vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling is like when you are adding up another server to your system, right? So for example, like I've shown you, so when you are from 2 servers to 4 servers, so this is a horizontal scaling. Okay, so we are adding up extra servers, so the capacity is not enough, so we add up another server. So that is a horizontal scaling. So capacity may be different, maybe 2 servers of 5 GB and 2 servers of 10 GB RAM. That is again a horizontal scaling. Okay, so that is the difference between a vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So that is very important from an exam point of view, from an interview point of view, and for your day-to-day life in the cloud point of view. Okay, so that is scalability. The fourth terminology in cloud is elasticity. So when I say elasticity, so think about the rubber band. So what it happens with rubber band? So you can stretch, and when you and it can shrink as well, right? So stretch and shrink. So that is the elastic nature of the cloud. So this is, so when you are adding up the server, so it is stretching, it is scaling, and when you don't need it, it removes the server, right? So it can again go to maybe a 2 from 4 to 2 or 2 to 4. So that is the elastic nature of the architecture of the cloud, you can say, right? So that is two terms, scalability and elasticity. Okay, got the difference? Any questions, any doubts? Okay, silence means no. Now we move on to the benefits of the cloud. So, so what benefit do you get? So we have talked about what is cloud. Okay, we can do this, we can do that. But what benefit do you get when you run your workload on the cloud, right? So first is agility. So when I say agility, is like increase the speed, right? So if you have built something, right, so you're building some code, you're building some website or anything, or you have some idea in your mind, right? So you need some servers or some services, database or storage or networking services, anything which you want, you can get it within a minute, right? So if I want a server of large capacity of 1000 GB of RAM and 20 CPU, I don't need to wait for it, I don't need to worry about it, I can get it on within minutes, I can purchase it within minutes. So from the infrastructure point of view or from the services point of view, I don't need to worry about it. So where I should invest my time or my brain is to to innovate things, to come up with an innovative solutions, to experiment more, right? So when you are worry free from the things, then you can focus on few things, right, few good things. So that is what agility means, right? Elasticity I already explained about you. Then cost saving. So AWS gives you a pay as you go model. It says pay only for what you use. So if you have, let's say for example, you have spin up a server and you used it for 1 hour and you then stopped it, then you are only paying for 1 hour, right? You don't need to pay for rest of the day when your servers are not running, right? So you only pay for when it is in running mode. And there are various cost savings option available wherein AWS says that pay less when you use more. So if there is a concept of consolidated billing, then maybe if you have thousands of AWS accounts and they are running services, then you get a discount. And they have a saving plan as well, right? 1 year or 3 year, if you are making a contract with them, then you are getting a decent amount of discount on your services. Then fourth is you deploy global in minutes. Like AWS has around 22 regions available. So when I say regions, those are geographic locations across the world. Like US, there are regions available in US, APAC, Mumbai, Sydney, China, then Europe. So there are data centers available, so you can launch server anywhere, just sitting at anywhere. Like I'm sitting at Pune, I can just log into the AWS and I can launch a server in US or Europe, right? And I can run the website there as well, right? So that is a beauty of having your workloads running on the cloud. You can deploy globally in minutes. Then again, security. So security is the paramount important in AWS. They spend a lot of money on the security of their data centers, security of the services. They also have a shared responsibility model wherein they say that security of the cloud is AWS's responsibility and security in the cloud is the customer responsibility. So we'll talk about in detail about that shared responsibility model. So does anyone have any question on the slide which we went through till now? Okay. Then AWS, as you already know, its full form is, yes. Okay. So AWS is, okay, Amazon Web Services. So Amazon gives you around to more than 220 services across storage, networking, computing power, databases, and they have categorized their services under the categories. So if you want databases, you can go in databases. There are various databases available under RDS service. If you're building a robotics application, then there are services available under robotics which you can use. If you are building a machine learning application, then you can use, there are 20 services, 20 odd services available under machine learning. So you guys would be using, if those who have Apple, so they would be using Siri, right? So when you say hello Siri, hi, or you ask any questions, you instruct them, then they do some certain things, right? So that is there is a service called Amazon Lex in machine learning, so which AWS uses it for building that Siri. Okay, so they use a Lex service, Lex and Poly. So that is what, and they used a Lambda service. So Lambda comes under the compute. So that's a event-driven service. So those 3 or 4 services AWS uses to build the Siri application. Okay. Then a brief history of AWS. So AWS officially launched in 2006 with one service called Simple Queue Service, SQS. And then in 2010, Amazon.com closed their, Amazon.com, which we are using for purchasing. Then they moved all over to AWS. They're running on AWS infrastructure. Okay, in 2013 they have launched certifications, and in 2018 they have a machine learning. They have launched machine learning specialty certifications in 2018. Then Gartner is a company which does the assessments of these cloud providers, and this is the last year's report wherein AWS has been named as a top leader in the cloud services infrastructure as a service on the worldwide, with around more than 70% of the market share. Okay. Then there are 12 certifications available in AWS, and they start with a fundamental layer. So fundamental layer is basically for those who are they never seen the computer, like maybe HR, or maybe business users, businessmen who just want to know about the cloud, right? So those for them, they have launched it for cloud practitioner, right? It's very basic. You don't get any technical knowledge onto it. You just get what is cloud, what is AWS, what all services are there. That's it. There is no technical expertise in technical knowledge in cloud practitioner. Then the technical knowledge. Actual technical knowledge starts with associate. Okay, the associate layer has 3 certifications, and out of which solution architect associate is the first step everyone should take towards their cloud journey, because solution architect associate talks about how do you build the infrastructure, how do you use the services, when to use it, to understand fully how the AWS works, how the networking works. Everything is mixed into the solution architect associate, and that gives you a good knowledge around AWS. Okay, then they have a professional layer. Professional is quite tough. They say that you need at least 2 to 3 years of actual hands-on with the AWS services. Then they have a specialty. So specialty, if anyone interested in doing a specific certification around like networking, like I am interested in security, then I went for security. Then anyone big data, Alexa, and they also have a database specialty launched in 2020. So there is another, so that makes 12 certifications. Okay, and we'll be focusing on solution architect associate. Then this will be the exam format. So questions will come from these 4 domains. Like you need to there will be some scenario based questions on resilient architectures, on high performance architecture, secure and cost optimized architectures, how you can build those, right? And there is a weightage given to each domain. There will be multiple choice and multiple responses, and the time is 2 hours 10 minutes, 130 minutes. Cost is $150, and it marks out of 1000, you need a minimum 720 to pass solution architect associate exam. Okay, so this is the latest format of 2020, and the code is SAAC02. Okay, so that's it from my end. Anybody has any questions, any doubt what we have gone through? Or do you have some specific questions for me?